Good morning, Olive, Arlo, and Frank. Greetings from Jacksonville Beach, although I'm not there. I'm still laid up in the house. We're watching, sunrise was a little while ago, it was about an hour ago. But we're watching the surf in the morning down by the Jacksonville Beach Pier. And today we're going to look at Matthew chapter 2, which involves the visit of the wise men, the escape of the Holy Family of Joseph, Mary, and Jesus down into Egypt, and then their return back to Nazareth. If you recall, Jesus was born in Bethlehem, but he lived in Nazareth his whole life. So without further ado, chapter 2, verse 1 says, After Jesus was born in Bethlehem in Judea, in the time of King Herod, wise men from the east came to Jerusalem, saying, Where is the one who is born King of the Jews? For we saw his star when it rose and have come to worship him. When King Herod heard this, he was alarmed, and all Jerusalem with him. So a couple of things are interesting. First off, we talk about the three wise men, but that's a tradition from, I believe, the Catholic Church or the Eastern Orthodox Church, that there were three of them. It just says wise men. It was probably the equivalent of a small army because they were coming from another empire to the east. I think it was the Parthian Empire. And so they had enough guys there that they could defend themselves. You know, we see in tradition the three wise men coming from the east, and you know, they're going through the desert. There's just three of them, and they have some stuff on their camels. But they had a whole bunch of camels and a whole bunch of guys. It wasn't just three of them. And also the tradition was that there was one from each of the children of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. So when you look at the nativity scenes, there's always, you know, like a guy that looks like a white guy, a guy that looks like a black guy, and a guy that looks like a, for lack of a better term, a brown guy. And the other thing is that it said that Herod was alarmed because he heard the birth of Jesus. You know, but these guys said that the Christ, the Messiah, was born. So they show up. They were outsiders. Everybody's just going along like nothing. Like, hey, it's just another day here in Jerusalem. All of a sudden, these dudes show up from a foreign land, and they go, look, your Messiah was born, and we know about it. Where can we go to see him? So not only is Herod alarmed, but it says the entire city of Jerusalem was alarmed. After assembling all the chief priests and experts in the law, he asked them where the Christ was to be born. In Bethlehem of Judea, they said, for it is written this way by the prophet, and you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are in no way least among the rulers of Judah, for out of you will come a ruler who will shepherd my people Israel. It's an interesting note here, without getting into too much exposition of the Bible, but Jewish people will say, like, well, no, David was born there, and that's what that prophecy meant. But in the time of Herod, and Herod was not Jewish by birth, but he was Jewish by faith. He went to the rulers, or the priests, and he said, so, what's up with this? And they told him, this is way after David had been born, lived, died, buried, and gone. And they said, this is a prophecy about the Messiah coming. Then Herod privately summoned the wise men and determined from them when the star had appeared. He sent them to Bethlehem and said, go and look carefully for the child. When you find him, inform me so that I can go and worship him as well. After listening to the king, they left, and once again, the star they saw when it rose led them until it stopped above the place where the child was. When they saw the star, they shouted joyfully. As they came into the house and saw the child with Mary his mother, they bowed down and worshipped him. They opened their treasure boxes and gave him gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. After being warned in a dream not to return to Herod, they went back by another route to their own country. So one interesting thing about the star is that when it's pictured traditionally, it's a star up in the heavens. Well, if they're following the star to find Jesus, Herod and those guys know, like, hey, we followed a star here. And then he goes, yeah, go find it and come back to us. They could have just followed that same star themselves. It was some big star up in the sky. I believe this was maybe an angel or something that was above just them and led them. And it's very interesting that God chose Gentiles, people from like the enemy of this nation, the Roman Empire, to come in here and go like, listen, the Messiah was born. We're going to go worship him. After they had gone, an angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream and said, get up, take the child and his mother, and flee to Egypt, and stay there until I tell you, for Herod is going to look for the child to kill him. Then he got up, took the child and his mother during the night, and went to Egypt. He stayed there until Herod died. In this way, what was spoken by the Lord through the prophet was fulfilled. I called my son out of Egypt. When Herod saw that he had been tricked by the wise men, he became enraged. He sent men to kill all the children in Bethlehem and throughout the surrounding region from the age of 2 and under, according to the time he had learned from the wise men. Then what was spoken by Jeremiah the prophet was fulfilled. So before I read that, so traditionally Jesus is an infant. But this said that Herod killed all the kids 2 and under, so he was up to 2 years old. So maybe Jesus was 1 and they still lived in Bethlehem. So now Herod's thinking, well, I'm going to kill all the kids there, because these guys didn't tell me how to find this particular child. So I'm going to kill all the kids 2 and under. And he did that. I mean, that's horrible. He was kind of a horrible guy. But the prophet said, a voice was heard in Ramah, weeping and loud wailing, Rachel weeping for her children. And she did not want to be comforted because they were gone. And Rachel was Jacob's favorite wife. After Herod had died, an angel of the Lord appeared in a dream to Joseph in Egypt, saying, get up, take the child and his mother, and go to the land of Israel, for those who are seeking the child's life are dead. So he got up and took the child and his mother and returned to the land of Israel. But when he heard that Archelaus, was reigning over Judea in place of his father Herod, he was afraid to go there. After being warned in a dream, he went to the regions of Galilee. He came to a town called Nazareth and lived there. Then what had been spoken by the prophets was fulfilled, that Jesus would be called a Nazarene. So next we're going to look at the ministry of John the Baptist. And until then, peace out, folks.